junior, correct? Sophomore, yeah. Chemistry major and a music major, double major from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Who, if you would all please stand, he is going to lead, he's going to sing the national anthem to open the meeting.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I think it's a nice tradition, and I hope that continues in the years forward. It reminds us of why we're here and the fact that we have exceptional students at this university who bring a load of talent in a lot of areas, and I hope that reminds us every time we open the meeting. And if you didn't have chills when Cameron was singing, then might be something wrong with you. But this time I will call on the Secretary of the Board, Malcolm Turner, for the roll call, please.
Ms. Otters Neal.
Here.
Mr. Bullock.
Here.
Mr. Bryan. Mr. Davis. Dr. Jones. Mr. Codis. Mr. McCullen. Mr. Meekins. Mr. Patel. Mr. Pryor.
Here.
I am present. Ms. Van. Ms. White.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. This time it is my duty as Chair of the Board of Trustees to remind all members of this board of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict of interest as required by this act. Each member has received the agenda and related information for this Board of Trustees meeting. If any board member knows of any conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the Board of Trustees at this meeting, the conflict or appearance of conflict should be identified at this time. Are there any conflicts? Trustee White?
With the nominating committee for the endowment board?
Yeah, you have a conflict on that. And so
Yes.
It's your intention to recuse yourself from that vote?
That's correct.
Thank you. May just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, back to it. Is everyone, we do have a consent agenda with several items on it. Is anyone, everybody had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Everyone at the meeting yesterday and is aware of every item that was added to the consent agenda? At this moment, is there any member of the board that wishes to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing no motion to remove anything, do I have a motion to approve items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion from trustee Davis and I have a second from vice chair Pryor. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. It's my duty as chair of the board to certify for the academic year 2022 and 2023 the responsibility that our Chancellor Guskowitz, is in fact capable and present and aware and able, and we know that. With respect to his abilities to represent this university with the Atlantic Coast Conference. And I know from experience and from dealing with the Chancellor that he certainly is capable, able, and has done those duties to an extremely high level. So thank you. So I will sign the certification that the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill will stay in the Atlantic Coast Conference at this point, and you will continue to represent us there. Okay. Next, we have election of officers, and I will call on Rob Bryan, trustee, for that. That did not get put on the consent agenda, but because it probably shouldn't be.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The nominating committee met yesterday and approved a slate if they remain so willing of for you, Mr. Chair Bullock, to continue as chair, Vice Chair Pryor, and Secretary Turner, and also approved Chris McClure as Assistant Secretary. And I would move to approve the nominating committee's recommendation.
Is there a second? Trustee Patel second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. I want to thank everyone on the board for the confidence they placed in me, confidence they placed in Vice Chair Pryor and Secretary Turner. We've had an active year. We have had a tremendous amount of volunteer activity from this board at a lot of levels. The hours that this board has spent on search committees, the time that this board has put in working with deans of schools, the time that they have been relied upon by the Chancellor, because I know that he calls upon each member of this board for advice and counsel, sometimes may go unrecognized, but I want to recognize that now and thank each member of this board for what they do for this university. This is our first meeting in a new fiscal year. I want to take a minute to recognize a few accomplishments of the university. In my opinion, the university has never been stronger. And consider this as to support that statement. Applications for admissions are at record levels. I see our assistant provost who's in charge of admissions here today, and that is true. And your team works extremely hard, and we want to thank you for that. The quality of student that is admitted to UNC-Chapel Hill is the highest it's ever been. Recently, 236 students were inducted into Phi Beta Kappa, the nation's oldest and most prestigious academic honor society, a designation that less than 1% of our nation's college students receive. Carolina continues to be the most affordable top-tier university in America. U.S. News and World Report ranked 19 of Carolina's graduate programs in the top 10 of their field of study. Carolina continues to provide terrific scholarship and financial aid to deserving students. The chancellor and his team, including Provost Chris Clemens, have onboarded 7 new deans in this past year. That's not a small accomplishment, Mr. Chancellor and Mr. Provost. There is a lot of excitement around the new energy. I know I saw Dean Race and got to talk to him this morning. There's a lot of energy with the new deans coming on board. Ramona Denby Brinson, Dean of the School of Social Work, was the first of those new deans, and she came on board in August of last year. I had the honor of attending a dinner and got to sit with Dean Denby Brinson during a ceremony or a dinner honoring Hortense McClinton, the first Black faculty member at UNC, whom we recently named a dorm for. We also named a building for Henry Owl, the first Native American student at Carolina. Let me tell you, that dinner with Dean Denby Brinson was one of the highlights. It's a little bit lower than the actual presentation ceremony that the chancellor and I were honored to attend with Miss McClinton. I want to just take a little moment to tell you about Miss McClinton. She was 103, and you know, my mama told me never ask a woman her age, but I couldn't resist because I wanted to make sure I had it right in my remarks. So I went up to Miss McClinton, and she is a wonderful, wonderful human, and asked her, I said, so just want to make sure how old you are. And she didn't say she was 103. What she said is that I'll be 104 in August. So that sort of tells you her mindset that she brought as a faculty member and the way she approaches life. And I think we should all maybe take a little heed on that, right? I mentioned Dean Race, who came to Carolina from Emerson College. He is the new dean of the Hussman School of Journalism and Media. Dean, you want to stand up and let everybody see you? Welcome. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. And the chancellor will be, chancellor's going to bring him to the podium. So sorry, I didn't mean to. But he is also, I want to note, I knew a little bit about Emerson College. My son had been recruited to play soccer there. And so I knew about the journalism and media program and the tradition of training reporters, particularly in TV news media at Emerson, and what you brought to that school. So I knew a lot about that. And when the chancellor was doing interviews, I shared that with him ahead of you coming. He's also the president of the Association of Schools of Journalism and Mass Communication. Valerie Howard came from 8 miles down the way at Duke and was named the dean of the School of Nursing. Nancy Messinet. Who came to Carolina from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. She was named the new dean of the Gilling School of Public Health. Janet Guthmiller, who spent the last 8 years as dean of the dentistry school in Nebraska, came back to Carolina, has been named the dean of the Adams School of Dentistry. Jim White from the University of Colorado will be dean of the School of Arts and Sciences. And I believe, has he started yet, Mr. Provost?
Yes, he did.
Dean White. He started already, right? Correct. So that's exciting. And I see that Beth Mayer Davis, I did see you in the front row there, was just appointed last week as dean of the graduate school. Thank you. Looking forward to that. The Campaign for Carolina, an effort to raise $4.25 billion, has not only surpassed that amount, reached that goal a year early. We heard and Vice Chancellor Ruth, I know you're here. If you, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Stand up, please. You were want to thank you and your team for all that effort. And you told us yesterday that the Campaign for Carolina has had its best year ever in 2022, according to all metrics. You deserve a lot of credit for that. Well, thank you. We continue to draw significant investments from grant-making authorities like the National Institute of Health. Chancellor recently announced a $65 million National Institute for Health NIH grant establishing the Antiviral Drug Discovery Center at the Gilling School to develop oral antivirals that can combat COVID-19 and other communicable diseases. The North Carolina Collaboratory, led by Jeff Warren, continues to churn out research opportunities and continues to earn funding for exciting research. I believe that the total amount of money is a little north of $85 million from the North Carolina General Assembly to help with those efforts, including an additional $8.85 million from the General Assembly in this short session, including, I want to highlight this because this connects directly to efforts that the Chancellor has taken in helping other sister institutions across the UNC system. There was an additional $1 million in recurring dollars for a total of $1.5 million in recurring funds. And I want to just take a minute to talk about what recurring dollars in a state budget means. That means you get it every year. So you're not having to go back and ask. So anything that you're asking for, assuming it's pretty baked in. So that is really an impressive feat to have $1.5 million in recurring funds for the sole purpose of competitive research grants to UNC constituent institutions identified as historically minority serving institutions. This is an example of strategic leadership and partnerships that benefits not only those institutions, but Carolina. And I know you've been a big part of that, Mr. Chancellor. Thank you. We heard yesterday about the UNC Lab School in Person County in Roxborough and the opportunity for UNC faculty and students to make a difference with our own elementary school population, a project also funded by the General Assembly. Trustee Ramsey White serves on that board of directors. Thank you for your work on that. Our student athletes involved in our athletic programs continue to perform and achieve at a high caliber, both academically and in their athletic pursuits. I want to highlight most recently our women's lacrosse team, which won a third national championship under Coach Jenny Levy, who then followed that up with a world championship for the United States. So that is under Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham's leadership and the Chancellor's leadership, Carolina continues to lead the way in women's sports. I don't think there's another university in the country that has a commitment to women's sports that UNC does, and we continue that tradition. So I also have to mention the men's basketball program, right? Advanced to the national title game under first year coach Hubert Davis, that many members of this board had the opportunity to approve the hiring of, and that is certainly a highlight. I've got a picture with him the day he got hired. I mean, it hangs on my wall in the office. It'll never go anywhere. I'm gonna keep it forever, right? We're also excited about the upcoming football season under Coach Mack Brown. He's worked extremely hard. He's got a terrific staff, and I've talked to him and Director Cunningham, and I think there's a tremendous amount of excitement around the football team. All of this incredibly good news, it really is, and it's proof of what's possible here at Carolina, a place we love when we work together and where we focus on the foundational strength of this university. So as we begin this new fiscal year, my hope is that over the next several months, we can ensure that the program success we are experiencing throughout campus can continue and that our students will flourish in their pursuits. As trustees, our job is to ensure that Carolina is, as I just stated, foundationally strong in a variety of ways. And gotten feedback from all the trustees. So I wanted to sort of highlight some things that this board is for and that this board wants to support, and that we look forward to moving forward in from this point forward on. Let's start with a university that is fiscally strong. Consider that this spring, the Board of Trustees, working with the Chancellor and his administration, particularly Nate Knuffman, who is here today, and his team, approved the first forward-facing all-funds budget. This action, backed by the Board of Governors, has allowed the Chancellor the ability to manage the university on multiple levels. There is a clear picture of the money available to accomplish everyday operations and strategic initiatives. It is an incredibly strong tool that our Chancellor takes advantage of every day. A campus culture that cultivates academic freedom. Yesterday, a joint committee meeting of the University Affairs Committee and the Strategic Initiatives Committee passed a resolution confirmed by the full board just minutes ago to reinforce the notion that our world-class faculty should be free to pursue answers to questions in broad ranges of endeavors. We are for and support a diverse faculty mix, including diversity of thought. There's no doubt that we as a university must be committed to recruiting diverse faculty. This includes every facet of diversity, including race, gender, and viewpoint diversity. This board has had a robust discussion on this matter as early as yesterday, and the board is committed to helping to build on the already strong faculty who teach and complete research here at Carolina. A modernized campus to ensure an exemplary delivery of a student experience. We have to face the reality that COVID has shown that certain types of education can be delivered remotely without the necessity of coming to campus and being on campus every day. This board has had robust discussions amongst ourselves and with the administration about the idea of being bold when it comes to the experience on campus. We have to face the true reality that while we certainly don't want to disrupt or disturb the character of our beautiful campus, our old buildings, the trees, the quad, we must modernize our classrooms. We must modernize our libraries, and we must continue to provide research capacity on this campus. It's going to take money to reach these goals. The General Assembly recently funded both the new business school and a new building for the nursing school. But we need more than that, really, if you look at the campus. We'll have to be creative, and we may have to take some risks in the process. But that's what we've always done at Carolina. We don't produce passive students who aren't bold. So I don't see any reason why this board and this administration can't also follow suit and be bold. Carolina's degrees carry with them practical, real world applications. A strong liberal arts education is the backbone of the university experience at Carolina. And for decades, this place has taught people how to think, how to solve problems, and be good citizens. Moving forward, we need to leverage our liberal arts education experience alongside practical in-person experiences that will enable graduates to leave Chapel Hill and contribute their talents in the marketplace. The new School of Data Science and Society, for example, is one such endeavor. I talked to the Chancellor, you in all your work as a neuroscientist, you also have told me that in fact you're a data scientist as well. And so the focus of the future of using data in liberal arts degree areas really is a powerful leverage, and Carolina can be the leader in that. You can take, for example, the Shuford Entrepreneur Program in the College of Arts and Sciences is another example. There's a place where You can take a degree in psychology, for example, and turn that into a workable business, whether it be a for-profit, a nonprofit, or something that may or may not be a financial success, but is a success in changing the world. And that's what Carolina has always been about. And we need to continue that focus. I can't think of anything more important for this university's Board of Trustees to encourage, protect, and defend than these 5 foundational underpinnings that I've outlined. I look forward to working with my fellow trustees, the Chancellor and his administration, the Board of Governors, the legislature, and the people of the state of North Carolina to get this important work done. All I have to say after that is go Heels. All right, so at this time, I would like to call on Mr. Elijah Mann, Student Body President and Trustee.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a nice day. Just from my remarks as student body president, we're feeling really excited, student government overall, but specifically the executive branch for back to school. It's less than 10 days away, or almost 10 days away as far as like weekdays. So really excited about organizing our events, getting prepared for, I think we're going to have a regular fall fest this year, not small fest anymore. And so making sure that everything is in order for that, whatever capacities were needed in for convocation and inviting first year students to campus, really excited for those things. And so that's where our work is most focused right now. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we officially filled all of the leadership positions in the executive cabinet for student government. So I'm really excited about that. All of our cabinet co-directors are getting started, connecting with each other and planning events that are going to, I hope, increase engagement between student government and our RSOs in a way that we've never seen before. A new policy this year is that all of the cabinet co-directors have an obligation to collaborate with at least one registered student organization on all of their events and programs. And so I really hope that starting off the year this way will allow us to, again, engage with those students and hopefully contribute to the long-term goal of having record voter turnout in our coming student body president election and just getting more students involved in this student governance process. So really excited about all of that and just continuing that work, and really excited to be here in this space, getting to know all of you in our second meeting or my second meeting with you all, and being here to represent the needs of our student body, and appreciate you always being just listening so much in that space and so open to just hearing what we have to say and collaborating to make for the best experience that our student body could possibly have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee and President Van. Really have enjoyed getting to know you, and you brought a lot to the board discussion yesterday, and look forward to moving forward. This time I'll ask the Chancellor to give some remarks. Thank you, Chancellor.
Great. Thank you, Chair Bullock. Thank you, President Van. Thank you to board members, board of trustee members for all your hard work. It is, despite the fact that it is summer, when things tend to slow a little bit, it certainly has not been quiet. We've been busy, hard at work. As I look out over the audience here, I have an incredible leadership team that works tirelessly to be sure that we're up and ready to go on August the 14th. Hard to believe August the 14th will be a new student convocation. We're taking it over to the Smith Center for the first time because it's gotten a little crowded as our incoming class has been growing a bit. Thank you, Rachel. We're run out of room, so we're going to the Smith Center, and I've invited Coach Jenny Levy, that Chair Bullock mentioned, to be our keynote speaker for new student convocation. I thought, who better to give a pregame pep talk to roughly 4,700 incoming first year students. I'm close, right? But Coach Levy will do a great job. I'm so proud of our students, faculty, and staff for all that they're accomplishing. I wanted to share a little bit of those accomplishments with you. Chair Bullock's already mentioned a few of those. I've also had the opportunity to share updates, campus-wide updates at a number of events over the past 4 weeks. It's been nice to be out traveling a little bit more. The provost and I and some others, Penny Gordon Larson and a lot of our faculty from environmental sciences. We were in the Galapagos about 4 weeks ago, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Carolina's Galapagos Science Center with the University of San Francisco de Quito, and that was a fantastic opportunity to see the incredible work that crosses the boundaries of not just North Carolina, the U.S., but into Ecuador, and really important work on island sustainability. It was a great opportunity. I also had the opportunity to attend an event out in Aspen last weekend, 2 weekends ago, for the Moorhead Cain Foundation's retreat this past weekend in Nantucket, where we talked about the program for public discourse. But I always enjoy talking about the amazing accomplishments of our faculty, staff, and students. As was mentioned earlier, another incredible research year. And yesterday afternoon, while I was sitting right here, received a note from Interim Vice Chancellor for Research, Penny Gordon Larson, talking about that we did just break the $1.2 billion mark for research funding awards for fiscal year 22. We've been getting close to 1.2 billion, and we announced that yesterday. This is the third year in a row that we topped $1 billion in annual research revenue that's driving innovation and impact in areas that range from gene therapy, drug development, to traumatic brain injury work, to island sustainability, coastal resilience, to social justice and human rights work. I love the range of work research that's accomplished here at this great university, and I know that we're all proud of that. But it's about the impact that those research dollars really have. The number sounds great, but it's about the impact. As leaders in COVID-19 research, and we've talked about that many times over the past 2 years, we are really excited that Carolina researchers received a $65 million from the NIH about 6 weeks ago for the creation of the Antiviral Drug Discovery Center here at Carolina. And that'll cover the first 3 years of this initiative. And we've been told that we get that right, and there's probably another 50 to 60 million to come on the back end of that. And this is closely affiliated with our READY initiative that we've talked about here as well. This is housed in the Gilling School of Global Public Health, and it will develop oral antivirals that can combat future viruses like SARS-CoV-2. So again, this is Carolina leading and being forward-looking to help solve problems of the future. So thanks to the faculty, grad students, and staff, and all the people that have made that work possible. Second, as was mentioned yesterday, and Chair Bullock mentioned it already, but David Ruth did announce yesterday that we have had our best year ever in giving. Fiscal year 22, we raised just shy of $800 million in 1 year. And this is made possible by the incredible stories that we get to go out and tell, that I get to go out and talk to alumni and donors about, that David and his team get to go out and share. And people believe in Carolina. This is up 33% from fiscal year 21. And this is a remarkable achievement, and has led us to surpassing our campaign goal a year in advance, which we announced back in January. And my goal for this coming year, and I know Rachel Feldman will like this, but is that we are gonna do everything possible to hit that critical mark of $1 billion in scholarship and aid for students here at Carolina. That makes us, allow students to graduate as debt-free as possible. And that's a commitment we made at the front end of the campaign, and we're going to get there this year. And so I just want to thank the entire development team for their hard work. We will reach the $5 billion mark by December 31, which many people would have said was unthinkable 2 years ago in the midst of a pandemic that we hadn't seen in over a century. So as I said, people believe in and trust in Carolina. And it's our job to ensure that that it remains that way, and that we can continue to make an impact. But the number sounds great, but again, it's the impact that these dollars have on our students, our faculty, and our staff. Third, I do want to just acknowledge and say that the state budget offered good news, for our university, particularly the decision by our state legislature to increase faculty and staff salaries by another 3.5%. This was really important. Right now, the recruitment, retention of top tier faculty and staff is so important. So that additional raise will will help us to accomplish that. We also received a lot of funding, significant funding to support capital projects and renovations for several of our campus buildings. And this is going to be a major priority for us here over the next few years. And so I'm grateful for the support from the General Assembly and from the North Carolina's taxpayers to support the critical work of the university. Fourth, I did mention that we're bringing back over 4,600 new undergraduate students and 1,000 new graduate students to campus. They have their new student orientation on August the 10th. And as you know, there are a lot of challenges right now around mental health, and we've been working really hard to increase resources for those students. We learned last year that it were those new students to campus that had some of the greatest challenges. And so I just want to highlight a few things that are in place right now, and we'll be seeing and hearing more about over the coming year. We established a contract with UWill for accessible anywhere telehealth services, and it's already in place. And as a result of this, we completely eliminated our wait list for the fall that we saw back in the fall of 2021 for CAPS services. And so that was really important. I really have to credit Vice Chancellor Amy Johnson and members of her team in partnership with Campus Health and in partnership with the Department of Psychiatry and Dr. Samantha Meltzer-Brody there. We've added additional multicultural health program counselors, which will be very helpful in addressing some of the challenges that we've heard directly from students in need over the past year. We launched the mental health seminars in the spring of 2022 on issues such as mental health, faith, and spirituality. And this was a big success. And there will be a new slate of seminars that will continue in the fall of 2022. We started with we'll start off this year with a mental health colloquium to kick off the new academic year, and we'll review the progress that we've already made, but be forward looking to identify what well-being needs will be necessary as we move forward. So again, we've learned a lot over the past year in that regard around mental health, and we'll continue to be there to provide these resources for our students. So those are my updates. As was already mentioned by Chair Bullock, we are currently welcoming several new deans to our leadership team. Some have started, some will be starting over the next few months. And you've met some of them back in May that we brought to the podium for an introduction. And Dr. Nancy Messonnier, who will be leading the Gilling School of Global Public Health, will be here for you to meet in September. And but today, let me also mention Dr. Stan Ahalt. Stan is out of the country, would have been here today, but he's the inaugural dean of our newest School of Data Science and Society. And you'll hear from Stan also in September. But as for today, it is my pleasure to bring to the podium two of our newest deans and introduce them to you and invite them to say a few words, perhaps maybe what's on your mind for these first 100 days of your tenure as dean. But I'm going to first invite Dr. Beth Mayer Davis, our new dean of the UNC Graduate School, who will officially begin September 1. But Dr. Mayer Davis is not new to Carolina, and we'll ask her to say a little bit, but I just want to thank you for saying yes to this opportunity to lead our graduate school and to welcome 1,000 new graduate students to campus in about 10 days, 2 weeks. Dr. Mayer Davis.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Chancellor Guskowitz and Chair Bullock and trustees. I really am truly honored to be able to take on this role of Dean of the Graduate School as of September 1st. And Chair Bullock, it was wonderful to hear your remarks. This is an amazing place. I've been here at Carolina for 15 years, and it's inspiring to be here. The graduate students truly have always been a great inspiration to me. And so now as I have opportunity to do all I can to ensure their success, it's just a perfect transition for me personally, career-wise, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And so that is really that's my central goal in the role of Dean of the graduate school, is to ensure the success of these really amazing, amazing students that we have here. I'll be continuing to mentor my own students to keep my feet solidly on the ground of reality. I'm very pragmatic as well as, mission driven. And so it's going to be important to me to make sure that I'm well aware of the needs of our graduate students, because they're the ones that are going to go out, they'll innovate, they will solve the, incredible challenges that we face in our communities, in our state, and in the world out there. So again, I'm grateful for the opportunity. And what I'm going to do in the next 100 days, I just have so much to learn. This is a new role for me. I'll be spending a lot of time. In fact, even later today, I'll be meeting with Theodore Nollert to begin to learn his perspectives for the graduate and professional students. I'll be meeting with lots of folks. The graduate school team is an amazing team built by my predecessor. I'll be meeting with deans, leaders around campus, leaders outside of campus. So the first 100 days, it'll be all about learning for me. And I'll make sure that the trains run on time. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. And this is a wonderful time to be taking on this leadership role here at Carolina. So thanks again for your confidence in me. And I'm looking forward to, just a great tenure. So thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And now Dr. Raul Rice, who joins us. He started, you almost have a full month in, Raul. But the new dean of the Hussman School of Journalism and Media, who is here again from Emerson College, which Chair Bullock mentioned earlier. Raul.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor Guskowitz, and for the opportunity, and Chair Bullock and all of you. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored and humble to have been chosen for this position, and I'll do my very best to serve the Hussman School and UNC well. I won't take too much of your time other than to say that I really appreciate your support, your work on behalf of all of us, and the hours that you volunteer for the benefit of UNC and our students, alumni, faculty, and staff. Much like my colleague before me, I have embarked on an informal listening tour of the Hussman School community since I got here at the beginning of this month, and have already learned a great deal from our students, staff, faculty, from some of our biggest external supporters, from Kevin, Chris, and other campus colleagues, and also from some of you and some of our alumni with whom I get the pleasure to meet and talk. I'll continue to try to learn and absorb as much as I can in the upcoming weeks, and that includes talking to many more of you. I have an open door policy and welcome your suggestions, ideas, and any opportunity to talk, learn, ask questions, and brainstorm. I'll be meeting with the whole Hussman staff and faculty for a 6-hour retreat on August 12th, and we'll be focusing on a plan of action to bring us together as a group to build a better and stronger community and to move us forward as a school. I think this past year, it was easy sometimes to forget that we are one of the very best schools of journalism and media in the country. My main goal for this first couple of months will be to redirect the focus and the attention to the excellent work that is being done here, to everything that our students, alumni, faculty, and staff are already accomplishing, and also to work on a plan that will put us back on a path to accomplish even bigger and better things in the near future. I count on your support, and I hope you know that you can count on my service and dedication to the university and to the Hussman School. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raul. It's now my pleasure to introduce for our faculty presentation today a good friend and colleague, one of our world-class faculty, as I like to say, Dr. Mark Katz, the John P. Barker Distinguished Professor of Music and the Director of Graduate Studies in the Department of Music at Carolina. It probably was about a month ago Trustee Cotis sent me a link about this neat work that he said he'd like to learn more about that was in partnership with the U.S. Department of State. And I said, well, I've been wanting to bring Dr. Katz to a trustee meeting, so this is perfect. And so, Mark, I'm going to invite you to the podium and thank you for being here. He's going to tell us about an exciting initiative that he's been leading for the past few years in a partnership with the U.S. Department of State called Next Level. And Next Level uses hip hop music, dance, and art to foster cross-cultural creative exchange in diverse communities, and has received a lot of national and international attention. So thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Chancellor Guskowitz. I've really appreciated your support of my work over the years, and I'm delighted to be here to present. And actually, you mentioned, excuse me, Trustee Cotis, and I was in Ghana just about a month ago, and a graffiti artist named Damian Mitchell said, "Hey, do you know Marty Cotis?" and this is an artist who is a member of the Next Level team. He's an American, he's actually Australian born, but now an American citizen who is telling me about this amazing patron of the arts who is in Greensboro, North Carolina, and just wanted me to send my greetings. Probably he didn't intend me to do it so publicly, but in any case, I do want to, he wanted me to say hi, and I wanted to express my appreciation for your support of the arts. I didn't know that about your work. So when you hear the word diplomacy, I wonder what images might come to mind. I would say most people probably think of officials from different countries who are meeting for high-level negotiations. And in fact, if you do a search for images of diplomacy on the internet, you typically find images of maps and flags and people, usually men in suits who are shaking hands. These are the images that came up when I did a recent Google search of diplomacy, Google image search. Flags, shaking hands, maps, more shaking hands, men in suits. And that is typically what we think when we think of diplomacy. But that's just one type of diplomacy. And I want to share with you a different kind of diplomacy that I've been working with since 2013 here at UNC. And so I'm going to show you a few images of this different kind of diplomacy. So these are all photos that I have taken in my work as part of what we call hip hop diplomacy. And these photos are from Mongolia, Washington, DC, and Jordan. And what they show you are people coming together, people of different nationalities, people of different races, cultural backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, lived experiences, coming together through hip hop. And in fact, I'll just point out that the rapper in front of the Washington Monument is Joshua Rousey, who is a member of the Next Level team, but also a UNC alum, and has come back to teach for us as well. So hip hop diplomacy is a form of diplomacy that uses hip hop art and culture to foster mutual understanding, appreciation, and cooperation among people of different nations. And particularly in the US, it's about connecting American citizens with citizens of other countries. And hip hop diplomacy is a form of what's called people-to-people diplomacy. And this occurs when private citizens represent their countries and work together to promote mutual understanding and cooperation. So you might wonder, and I've been asked this question, why would the US government, why would the State Department send hip hop artists around the world to do diplomatic work? And it's a fair question, but I hope I'll convince you that it makes perfect sense. So first of all, hip hop is a global phenomenon. It's beloved by billions of people around the world. It's in fact the most listened to genre of music in the world. It's beloved by people everywhere. And it is known to be American in birth. And it is, to be just very blunt, it has a much higher approval rating than the US government. So we can go places where the US government is not beloved but they will talk to us endlessly about their favorite hip hop artists, and they will know that the US is the birthplace of hip hop. So given that hip hop is so popular, and again, often more popular, unfortunately, than our foreign policy, it's a really powerful way to make connections with people who otherwise wouldn't have a lot of sympathy or interest in what we do here in the US. So I want to tell you about Next Level. So Next Level is the first large-scale State Department program devoted to hip hop diplomacy, and it was established in 2013 here at Carolina. I wrote the grant, I created the program, and I served as its first director. And I'm still involved with Next Level as well, and we'll be traveling soon with the group. So Next Level's mission is to use hip hop, art, and culture to promote cultural exchange, entrepreneurship, and conflict transformation in underserved communities around the world. So it's not just about teaching hip hop or getting people to be better rappers, dancers, DJs, and so on. It's about making powerful connections between people through the arts and using hip hop as a way to instill certain values about entrepreneurship, about conflict resolution, and so on. And in fact, in January, we'll be heading to Nigeria, and they're really interested in having us help talk with young people about getting out the vote, because there are some very important elections coming up in February 2023. So what we do is we send teams of US hip hop artists from different disciplines. So rappers, DJs, beat makers, graffiti artists. Here actually in this image is a recent mural that was done collaboratively between Ghanaian artists and American artists. And we send them to communities around the world that generally don't get a lot of service from their larger governments. And we offer workshops. We also provide grants. We donate equipment, and we continue these relationships so that it's not just a one-time visit. So what I'd like to do is play for you a short video from a residency that we did in Myanmar a few years ago, just to give you a sense of what goes on in a residency. It's just about 2 minutes long. You'll also see me in there, but let's see. So I just want to make sure how to play this. Maybe this will do it. Thank you. I just want to reiterate how hip hop is not simply music or fashion, it's a whole lifestyle, it's a whole culture. That is why we are here. It's because we feel like we are part of the same culture. Even though we're from the United States and you're from Myanmar, we're all part of the same hip hop tradition.
But I know you guys, I gotta learn how to do all of that, okay? So I'm here to learn from you guys too.
So whether the step is something that I'm doing and then you kind of just start picking it up, the same kind of thing, and then we come back and maybe I switch it up, you know, and I'm doing something, right?
Basically, you're gonna face the wall and act like you see eyes on the wall and rap confidently facing the wall. As fluid and confident as you can, all right? 3 minutes, let's get it. Find the wall. The screw scratch sounds like this.
Looks like a baby scratch. Screw scratch is faster.
Okay, so a little taste of what we do. So let me give you a few facts about Next Level. Again, I mentioned this, it was founded in 2013. The first grant amount was for $960,000, which is a huge amount for the arts, but the funding has actually increased in subsequent years. It's actually been renewed 9 times. We were just awarded funding for a 10th cycle, and the total amount of the funding is well over $10 million. We visited 40 countries on 6 continents. We offer free workshops in music, dance, the visual arts, entrepreneurship, conflict transformation. We donate equipment and provide grants to these underserved communities. We also bring leaders from those communities here to the US to participate in workshops on artistic and creative development. And one thing people have asked me over the years is that, well, is this, what does this administration or that administration think of it? Well, we started in the Obama administration. We continued during the Trump administration. We are continuing during the Biden administration. So this may be a rare point of bipartisan support that we can all celebrate. So I want to close by saying a little bit about what this project does for us here on campus and in the community, because this is an international program that has gone all around the world. And I think it's always fair to ask the question, well, what is it doing for North Carolina, or what is it doing for our students? So I want to just talk about what Next Level has brought home to Carolina. So first of all, it has supported the creation of many new courses and introduced students to diplomacy across all majors. It's helped fund an amazing space that some of you may have encountered called the Beat Lab, which is in Hill Hall, which is a space dedicated to musical creation that is open to all students and not just those who are trained in sort of classical music. It has supported the hiring of adjunct faculty, including Josh Rousey, I mentioned, UNC alum. It has led to the creation of the Carolina Hip Hop Institute, which is a summer program. Now we just completed its 3rd year, which is also staffed by Next Level alumni. It's generated faculty and student research. My book, my most recent book, which is called Build, was supported by this grant and my work here. I've advised doctoral students on dissertations related to this topic. We've brought in dozens of guests in the arts and diplomacy for students to learn more about this work. We've also fostered new relationships between Carolina and universities around the world. When I was in Ghana, I had a meeting with the music department faculty there, and we're working on what's called a COIL program, which is a collaborative teaching, virtual teaching, and we're going to be working with them to teach courses collaboratively between students and faculty here and at the University of Ghana. And we also just hired our first full-time professor who does work in hip hop. And to me, that is a big deal because hip hop has been so popular at this university for decades. And we need to be able to recognize what the students are passionate about and what will help them thrive. And this hire, which is just effective July 1st, is a really important step in broadening the scope of what the music department does. So I would say just in sum, what Next Level does is it both contributes to UNC's profile as a leading global public research university, and has this international footprint, but at the same time, it is enriching the lives of our students here on campus. So thank you very much.
Great job, Barney. Questions? Anyone?
Thank you for your presentation. This is fantastic. I was also happy to see the connection with Meridian. I
Yes.
consider Lee Satterfield a friend, and it sounds like most likely you've worked with her in the past at Meridian. So she's
Yes,
a great
thank you.
person.
Thank you for bringing up Meridian. Meridian is our administrative partner in DC. And in fact, Lee Satterfield, who had worked at Meridian, is now the Assistant Secretary for Educational and Cultural Affairs, who is basically next level's boss, 10 levels up. So we've also been able to make very strong connections in DC because of this. And in fact, I'll just mention one other thing is through this, I was able to secure an internship for a student at Meridian. So some more connections there. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Dr. Katz, it's really nice to meet you. I'd sent that link over to Chancellor Guskowitz and said, I'm amazed by this program. I would love to hear more about it and meet you sometime. So thank you for giving us this presentation. As you mentioned, a couple of the graffiti artists that have been on your trips have worked with us as well. And I think what you're doing, this cultural exchange of ideas, is so powerful. And it's important both for the students to learn more about these other countries as well and come back with ideas, and for us to bring ideas around the world and let people experience what it's like. And then the whole teaching element of sharing that with others, probably both ways, is incredible. So just wanted to say I really appreciate your work. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you. No, I'm delighted to hear that. And I'll just mention that we actually have brought students abroad to observe these residencies. And these are, I hear this all the time, but people use the phrase life-changing to describe these experiences. And I'm very fortunate to be able to facilitate these experiences and to have them myself. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I value innovative, creative, outside the box thinking, and this is all of those. I'm curious, like on the end product of what you're hoping to get so far as either diminishing negative feelings towards the United States or positive benefit. How does the end product kind of get measured from your perspective?
That is such a good question. It's probably the hardest question to answer. I'm actually writing an article about it. So, but I won't recap everything I say. But I've talked a lot with Barbara Stevenson, who is a former ambassador and heads UNC Global, about this very question. And what we have discussed is that it's a long game. It's about planting seeds, but in the end, it's about creating a positive image of the US among people around the world and creating a sense that we're all in this together. So one thing that I said in that video when I was talking to young people in Myanmar, is that I said, we may be from the US and you may be from Myanmar, but we're all part of a broader family. And so it's this idea that we're building bridges. And as far as the State Department is concerned, it's also about promoting foreign policy, but also security. It might say, I don't want to get too grandiose, but the idea is if we form really strong connections with people in countries that have traditionally been our enemies or have not been big fans of us, people will think twice about saying things about the US or acting in certain ways. And people have said this to me. We have, I'm friends with one of the most famous rappers in Egypt who loves what we do. And, you know, a good word from him to his, 1 million Instagram followers could go a long way. So, you know, it's a long game, but it's very concrete. It's about image, it's about connection and security.
Thank you so much for that. I have to ask, do you rap?
I don't, but I scratch. It's actually true. I do. And let me just say, this picture here is of the Beat Lab. And I have done this before. I'm very open to teaching anyone how to scratch. So just stop by and I'll show you.
I have to ask, who's your favorite hip hop artist?
Sorry?
Who is your favorite hip hop?
Oh, that's such a tough question. Well, I feel like I should name, not just feel obligated, but this is a good opportunity to name one of Next Level's artists. So I'll mention Tony Blackman. So not a famous artist. I do like, I'll say Rhapsody, who is a local rapper from, I believe, from Durham, is amazing. But look up Tony Blackman. It's Toni Blackman. She was the very first hip hop diplomat, went to Senegal and Ghana. She has come here several times to give workshops. She's an amazing rapper and spoken word artist who works particularly with young women. She has a program called Rhyme Like a Girl, and she promotes bringing women into hip hop. So I'll name her, and I could always make a mixtape for you if you want. My other favorite artists.
Just when I think that I couldn't be more proud of this university, I hear about this extraordinary program, and it's just a reminder of all the extraordinary things that we do. I'm so thankful for you. It's also a reminder to me of how the arts bring people together and unify. And it's a common thing that we have with everyone in the world. So I'm so grateful to you for being an ambassador, both for our university and for our nation. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you to say.
Dr. Katz, I want to thank you on behalf of the board for your presentation. This is sort of the experiential learning that I mentioned earlier this morning, and how we can have a reason to have people in person here who can learn and collaborate from each other to make the world a better place. And so I think that I feel that is your mission, and I get that communication. And I'm from Fayetteville, so we're J. Cole folks down there.
Do you have any connection to J. Cole?
I know J. Cole.
So I'd love to bring him here.
He played basketball at Terry Sanford High School right down the street, and I have met him, and I do know him. But yeah, we claim him in Fayetteville. So
I'll follow up with you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
All right, guys, let's take a 10-minute break. Okay, great. I think that is always a really actually a productive time, the morning break of board meeting. People get to catch up and find out information. At this time, I will call on the world-renowned trustee, Marty Cotis, for a report from the Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management Committee.
Thank you, Chair Bullock. The Committee of Audit, Compliance and Risk Management met yesterday to approve a proposed services agreement between Mosaic eHub and the university for the provision of programming services at 79 West Co-working Space and the Mosaic at Chatham Park Development. More information about this proposal is available in board effect. Committee also received a very important update on the university's emergency preparedness program from Vice Chancellor Battle, Derek Jeter, and Chief Brian James. And I really can say after listening to their presentation, we're in very good hands with them. They're thoroughly prepared, working through training, and I have great confidence in that team. I'm very excited to have Chief James on board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Trustee Cotis. This time I'll call on Chair of the Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure Committee, Vice Chair of the Board, John Pryor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This report covers items discussed during the Committee on Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure yesterday, July 27th. The committee reviewed and voted to approve 2 designer selection requests, as well as a request to approve the PFAS remediation lab lease. Detailed information about these requests is available in board effect, and these items were approved by the board as part of the consent agenda this morning. In addition, the committee received a capital update from Nate Knuffman and Anna Wu, a finance update from Mr. Knuffman, and a development update from Vice Chancellor of Development David Ruth. It also heard from Evan Yaskey, Executive Director and University Architect, regarding a preliminary design review for Carrington Hall. Further information from these updates is available in your board materials. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pryor. At this time, I'll call on the Secretary of the University, Malcolm Turner, for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute Section 143-318.11A1 to prevent the disclosure of privileged information under Section 126-22 and also pursuant to Section 143-318.11, A2, A3, A5, A6, A7, and A9.
Thank you, Secretary Turner. We have a motion on the floor to go into closed session. Do I have a second? I have a second from Trustee Patel. Any discussion? I do have one thing to say in discussion, as I say, before we go into closed session. The purpose of the closed session is primarily to deal with personnel matters and legal matters. And so this is a normal course of business for the Board of Trustees to go into closed session. This is part of the regular operation of the board. So without any other further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? All right, we will clear the room and be in closed session. And I will point out, we are on time, guys. All right, all board members are back present. Are we back online? We're back on? Okay, great. So we've had a motion, a second, and a vote to return to open session following a closed session of Board of Trustees. At this time, I will call on the Chair of the University Affairs Committee, Rob Bryan. Trustee Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees members, this report covers items discussed during yesterday's joint meeting of the University Affairs and Strategic Initiatives Committees, as well as the open session meeting of the Committee on University Affairs. During the joint session, the committee heard from Mark McNeely and Dr. Ryan and the team of distinguished university researchers regarding their research into the state of free speech and expression on UNC system campuses. In its regular session, the committee considered and approved a resolution regarding access to student activity fees presented by Trustee Artis Neal, as well as a resolution regarding the affirmation of academic freedom and freedom of speech presented by Trustee Jones. The committee also voted to approve a request for the approval of recruiting and referral incentives for employees of the university's lab school, Carolina Community Academy, and a request for approval of revised salary ranges for the UNC School of Law. All these items were approved by the board on the consent agenda earlier this morning. Finally, the committee heard an update from Fawad El Khalik, I hope I said his name somewhat close, the Dean of our Education School, regarding the university's lab school, as well as a report from the Chair of Faculty, Dr. Mimi Chapman. In closed session, we discussed requested personnel action items, including 12 promotions conferring tenure, 3 new appointments conferring tenure, 2 faculty compensation actions, and a proposed contract amendment for an athletic coach. The proposed amended terms for the athletic coach contract were approved by the committee in closed session because the contract requires further action. The remaining require our vote now. On behalf of the committee, I move that the Board of Trustees vote to approve the remaining requested final personnel action items, including 12 promotions conferring tenure, 3 new appointments conferring tenure, and 2 faculty compensation actions.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion from the board? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee also has before it a request for appointment of a Tier 1 senior academic and administrative officer. I'd like to recognize the Chancellor to say a few words about this appointment before we vote.
Thank you, Trustee Ryan. I'm excited to seek your approval today for an appointment for our new Vice Chancellor for Communications. I'm asking your approval to approve Cameron Farwell. Cameron emerged through a national search, which included several highly accomplished and experienced candidates. She's currently the Vice Chancellor and Chief Marketing and Communications Officer for the University of Missouri and the system. And prior to that, she was in a similar role at the University of Pittsburgh. Cameron brings decades of experience in communication, both in higher ed and as a journalist for nearly 20 years. And she's a nationally recognized leader in communications, and I know that she will lead our incredible team very well here at Carolina. And I want to just also thank those who participated in the search process, including Dr. Amy Hertel, who co-chaired the search committee alongside Don Bear, one of our alums. And also want to thank Chair Bullock for his participation in the search as a member of the search committee, attending a lot of meetings over a lengthy period of time. And I think we've landed an outstanding new Vice Chancellor for Communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Mr. Chancellor. And I go to Mr. Chairman. Brian. Have a motion to approve. Have a second from Trustee Davis. Any further discussion? I will say that if I can, just about Cameron Farwell. She comes to the university just from the University of Missouri and then previously at University of Pittsburgh, both AAU universities, both tier one research institutions. So I believe her to be a fantastic fit at the university and look forward to working with her. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have a new Vice Chancellor for Communications. All right. External, I want to call on Chairman McCullen for a report from the External Relations Committee. Chairman McCullen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees. This report covers items discussed during the open session of the meeting of the External Relations Committee yesterday, July 27th. During our meeting, the committee received a legislative update from Amy McConaughey, Director of State Affairs, and Kelly Dockham, Director of Federal Affairs. This concludes my remarks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman McCullen. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Trustee Davis to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a second from Trustee Patel. Any discussion? I want to thank members of the board. Thank you for your confidence in the current leadership team. We'll do the best we can to be of service and to you and to the university moving forward here today. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned.